Welcome to GCCars. My name is Eric and this is the 2023 Mazda CX-50. Slotting in next to the ever popular and just reviewed by us Mazda CX-5, this CX-50 is Mazda's second offering in the compact SUV market. This specific one is a top-spec GT model with the optional 2.5-liter turbocharged engine. And we've already established in the CX-5 review that I really like that one and think it is one of the, if not the best compact SUV on the market. But how does this new CX-50 compare? Well, that's the interesting thing we want to find out today. And for that, of course, first of all, we're going to take a look at the exterior, then we're going to take a look at the interior, then we're going to drive it, and at the end, we're going to sum it all up in the final thoughts and see which compact SUV you should pick if you're in the market. But if you really enjoy the video at the end, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell, because the more subscribers I have, the more videos I can get you for free every single week in your inbox, because we review everything from brand new Mazdas to trucks to sports cars and everything in between. So remember, if you liked it, subscribe. Anyhow, I would say let's start off with the exterior. And first of all, adding to my CX-5 review, the refresh has grown on me. With that being said, this looks even better than the refreshed CX-5. This looks awesome. I really like how this looks. This looks more rugged, you know, a bit more off-road style with very wide fenders. You can see here in the front and here in the back, and I think it works really well. Of course, we have the very traditional Mazda front end, which always looks good, with the newer kind of like cut off front headlights. Then we have fake vents up here and in the back. We're going to talk about those. But what's really interesting here, of course, we have plenty of plastic cladding, kind of visually lifting the car, and as well as kind of shrinking it a little. Always makes it nice. And then we have these 20-inch wheels, which admittedly are kind of big. I was like, I think it works. I think it works overall, but they're big. On the base model, you get 18 inches. But just watch out with curbs on those, right? Then the color, by the way, is polymetal gray metallic. Normally, I say, well, I'd rather have Soul Red Crystal, or whatever it's called. I think that's the first Mazda where I'm like, yeah, polymetal gray is the way to go, or the sand khaki kind of style. But this looks fantastic. And then if we go around the back here, you see really from here, you see how wide this is. It's wider, longer, and not quite as tall as the CX-5. So it kind of in every way, it is a little more athletically styled. That does come with a few compromises, but we'll talk about that later. But styling wise, I think this works really well. And I think this looks fantastic. One of my, if not the favorite design in terms of compact SUVs for me. Great job, Mazda. But let's talk about the interior, shall we? Okay, here on the interior, this is mostly shared with what the CX-5 offers, so I'm not going to go too in depth here. If you want to hear all my thoughts on the interior, click in the top right hand corner for my CX-5 review. But a few things changed. First of all, let's talk about materials. Materials are really nice, just as you expect in a Mazda. They always have amazing materials. Let's just turn this down a little. For like the price point, like this leather is just so nice, and just the contrast stitching, it looks very nice. It feels extremely nice. The seats, also with the same contrast stitching, look very nice. Good seating position, and of course heated and ventilated seats, which especially right now because summer hit, which is nice. It's nice to have cooled seats in here. But no, this is a very nice space. What you will notice compared to the CX-5, this is a little more rugged, as in you don't have metal surfaces or anything. You do have a little bit more plastics, but it's all kind of on topic and in one theme, so it works really well. We do have a bit of piano black right here in the middle, which will look dusty, will look scratchy, so make sure to have like a microfiber cloth or anything just to wipe that down occasionally. The infotainment, of course, as per usual with Mazda, is not a touchscreen. Unless you use Android Auto or Apple CarPlay, then it becomes a touchscreen. Unfortunately, my phone just died without me doing anything. Literally never dropped it. After 13 months, it just died. It's in repair, so I couldn't test Android Auto right now. But apparently it becomes a touchscreen then. And like this, you just have to dial down here and the volume dial. And it's not the most feature-rich infotainment, but it's pretty intuitive. And I don't mind that it's not a touchscreen. Just the only thing that I would wish is that maybe they put, if you're in the reverse camera or something, that you have like a button on screen for change camera, and you just need to press down, because going from here to the left hand side to change your view and then just like 1, 2, 3, it's a little tedious. So most of the time you just kind of, either you don't do it or you wait. But other than that, No, this is a very nice interior. Of course, our gauge cluster is a screen in the middle, not a gauge, even though it looks like a physical gauge. And then we have our sunroof, which is nice and big. And the last thing I want to talk about here is the center console, because I don't really like this. It's not bad. It's not like a feature where you're like, okay, I'm not going to buy this car because of this, but it's split. And the way you open it is kind of annoying. I don't know if you saw this, but because I have to use quite a bit of force to open it, my finger automatically kind of slides in and just slides off, and it's just not very comfortable, and it's also not very practical. I mean, I get it, yeah, so you can still keep your arm on here and your passenger can get it and vice versa, but the opening really isn't that big, and it's just, I think a normal one would have been better, but whatever. And a wireless phone charger right here. Okay, that's the front. It's a Mazda. It's of course it's super nice. It's super nice and super comfy. Like that's Mazda. Let's take a quick look at the back. Then we go look at the trunk, and then we go driving. Okay, remember in the exterior segment when I told you that the CX-50 is a little compromised due to it being lower, and that is right here. So you do have a little less space in the back, mainly headroom, compared to the CX-5. Personally, 5'7", I'm fine. Most people are fine. I've had people in the back here, nobody complained. But if you maybe have a family and you have like taller jeans, maybe like CX-5 is a little better choice. But other than that, like I personally, honestly, this is totally fine for me, and for most adults, for the vast majority of adults, this will be fine. And in the back, of course, we do have heated seats on either side. Here in the GT model, we have 2 power outlets, which are just easily accessible without using the center console. Although I kind of found it funny and quirky in the CX-5 having the USB ports in here. This is just a better solution because even if you have a 5th passenger, you can still use them. And at the same time, materials obviously are a little bit of a downgrade. Back here you see this is definitely scratchier, not so nice plastic, but once we go down here, it becomes all a lot softer. In terms of storage, you have 1 pouch on your passenger side, and of course, if you have the sunroof open, you have plenty of views out of that one. Okay, let's take a look at the trunk, and then we'll go driving. Hola, ¿cómo estás? Anyhow, the trunk space. That's the second part where you kind of compromise. It's just a little though. So just with the back seats like this, loading floor not too high, which is nice, but with the back seats up, you get 31.4 cubic feet of space, which is actually 0.6 cubic feet more than you get with the CX-5. And we have 4 grocery bag hangers. Love that. That gets me very excited. Grocery bag hangers are like the best thing you can put in your trunk. And then, if you want to put down the back seats, just simple. Just flip these switches from back here. Don't even have to go around, and there you go. And now you have 56.3 cubic feet of space. Now you have like 3 cubic feet less than you get in the CX-5, but honestly 3 cubic feet, we're splitting hairs at this point, so I'd call it a tie. It's a pretty good loading floor and trunk still. Anyhow, I said we are going to drive, so let's close this up and let's go driving. Okay, out on the road in the Mazda CX-50 with the turbo engine, so let's turn off traction control, turn off the start stop, and go for a launch. Of course we want to go into sport mode as well. Let's see how quick she goes. 2500. Little wheel spin. There we go. Hello. And 3rd gear. And now she keeps pulling. And yeah, plenty of power. Obviously, we have a 2.5 liter turbocharged inline-4 producing up to 256 horsepower and 320 pound-feet of torque. Up to, because that is with 93, and realistically, if you buy this car, especially with these gas prices, you are not going to fill 93 in this. I don't know what's in here actually, because I haven't fueled it yet. I got it fueled. That's how press cars work. I'm just going to assume it's 93, and that was 250 horsepower. But either way, even if you fill 87 regular gas, you get 226 horsepower and a little less torque. So you lose 30 horsepower and a bit of torque. Not the end of the world. Even then, you'll have plenty of power. The issue I do have always with every Mazda is, except for manual ones, is the transmission. So the 6-speed transmission we have in here is very nice, in regular city driving. And like realistically, what you will do, and yes, it will, well, like most buyers will do, it is very nice. It is smooth in the city. You don't really notice it. It's good. But once you start kind of demanding a little power, sometimes maybe you're on the highway and there's a gap in the left lane, and you want to go for that, it can be a little lethargic to shift. Or you noticed while we doing the acceleration, just sometimes, you know, you'd like to have a few more gears, also in terms of fuel economy, which you just miss out on with this 6-speed manual, a 6-speed automatic that Mazda has. That's my, like, every Mazda I have, I say I want to have the transmission. I've beaten that horse to death, so I'm not going to talk about it more. Just know, if you buy this, if you want to have a little power, sometimes it can take a second to shift. Like, I've had it, I wanted to merge into the left lane, and just kind of, it just didn't give me the gear, so I was like, come on. So I was kind of stuck there for a little. It worked out in the end. And then, like I said, fuel economy is always a little worse in Mazdas, but we want to test the reaction time. So we're just cruising 50 kilometers an hour, regular driving mode, floored. Turbo spooled up, there we go. So the general reaction time is pretty good. Just sometimes, if you catch up mid-shift and then change what you want, it just takes a while. But it's fine, and even if you think it's too slow, you can shift yourself either with the shifter or with our paddles here. Second, first, second, third. So there you go. It's fine. Especially in normal driving, you won't even notice that it has less gears. Okay, but I think we talked enough about power because that's only so important in a car like this. So let's talk about ride quality. And for that, of course, we always turn left onto a road that always is littered with potholes and just general roughness. And I can hear more than I feel anything. So of course, this is not an Escalade, I do feel it, but it's just very well kind of isolated, these bumps. I kind of just wiggle my butt a little, excuse the visual that I just gave you for that. But other than that, it's very comfy. Like, I have not had a single bump I've driven over during my week in the CX-50 where I was like, oh, this is uncomfortable, or I wish this was better damped. No, this is very nicely damped. Mazda's done a good job on tuning the suspension in terms of giving you all the kind of the right quality you need. And in terms of noise, it's also very quiet. So this is a very comfy cruiser. This is a very comfy cruiser. That's what Mazda's kind of known for, right? For these, I always call them premium. They're not really, they might be priced like a normal, well-spec'd car, like a Hyundai or something, but they kind of slot a little bit above that in terms of quality. They're just nicer. You lose out a little bit on tech, yes, in comparison to a Hyundai and Kia, but you just have more refinement. You have a little bit more sophistication, I would say. And this refinement just really translates into a very comfortable driving experience when you just drive it, you know, maybe you're cruising on the highway, or you drive it somewhere in the city. The well set up suspension, the low noise floor, and just the general comfort you have while sitting inside of this just makes it, like, honestly one of the most comfortable compact SUVs on the market in terms of just regular driving. And I really enjoyed sitting in this. But I've been like in traffic and like very bad traffic in this, and within the last week, and you just kind of just relax. It's very comfy. It's very nice. But when we talk about sophistication, what comes to mind? Exactly, not handling. That's what we're going to do, handling. We're just going to give that a shot, because in the CX-5, that was my main critique. Well, not my main critique. That was one of the critique points I've had, because it kind of let me down in comparison to other Mazdas. But the CX-50 is so much better. Like, once again, will you use it? Probably not. But this is, Mazdas are kind of known for driving very well, and the CX-5 didn't quite fit into that. The Mazda 3 drove better. Of course, it's a different class, but compared to like vehicles in the same class, the CX-30 drove better. The CX-5 just kind of felt like the suspension wasn't really properly set up for handling, and it was kind of like tumbling over itself, and at the limit, it just wasn't very well set up, it felt like. This, though, very good. This is the polar opposite. Well, it wasn't up at the CX-5, but almost the polar opposite of the CX-5, because this stays incredibly flat through corners, which is also something they advertise with their G vectoring control, something like that. They always put that in the press material, and I always see that, and I was like, yes, okay. And this is really the first time where I'm like, yeah, okay, I feel that now. This is where you've done it like 100% right, because it actually, like, you know, it's like how easy it was to go to the limit of the tires, and very well composed, always in control. I like that. Of course, it's a CX-50, you're not going to use it really, but there's always, you want to have limit handling that is easy to do if you ever need it, or if you ever want, right? Sometimes you just want to have a bit of fun. No, it doesn't matter what car you have. But it handles really fine, and that gives us to the last point that we want to talk about, and that is tech. And like I mentioned earlier, tech is just the kind of the one thing you compromise on when you buy a Mazda, because they just don't have as much as other ones. You do have still the kind of adaptive cruise control and emergency braking and blind spot monitoring, all the ones you really want to have and you really need. You have them and they work really well. And then you have like a lane centering assist, but this one just works under like certain circumstances, and some like Hyundai and Kia just works a lot better and a lot more scenarios. So this is nice to have, but realistically, do I use it? Really not outside of a traffic jam. The lane centering. You can watch my highway POV test drive. I'll put that in the top right hand corner as soon as it's uploaded, where we always test these systems, so you can maybe get a bit of an impression yourself. But overall, tech is fine. That's how I would say it. Not better, not worse. But that's already everything I wanted to talk about, so why don't we send it off to the final thoughts? Okay, final thoughts on the 2023 Mazda CX-50 GT with the optional turbo engine. And when I reviewed the CX-5 a couple of weeks ago, I really liked it, but Mazdas are always so good. I have just very high expectations for them, and the CX-5 just fell slightly short of that. Don't get me wrong, it was still a great SUV, but you know, just slightly disappointed I was. The CX-50 fixes nearly every single complaint I've had, except for the transmission. But like I said, the transmission is not an issue at all in normal regular driving. It's just because I have to do like every single bit of scenarios that includes driving them spirited, and in that case you notice the transmission, but other than that it's totally fine. And personally, I prefer the looks of the CX-50 over the CX-5. I think it looks absolutely fantastic. The interior is just as nice. You have the same tech features. It drives better than a CX-5. So personally, I would pick the CX-50 over the CX-5. And that also means over every compact SUV that I've driven, I would pick the CX-50. Now, I haven't driven the Tucson yet, and I'm going to get to that later this year. So subscribe for that. But that might be the only one that could challenge that, or the new Sportage, one of the two. But from now on, for now, CX-50 is the best. But of course, pricing is important. Currently, as spec, top spec, you're looking at $47,550 Canadian, which of course is quite a bit of money. But it is also $2,000 more than the CX-5. But I think that is justified. That doesn't mean that you should always go for the CX-50. Like I said, if you're very tall or you have very tall family members, you might want to go for the CX-5. If you really need 100% of the space, the CX-5 is a little better. Or if you want to have a bit more reserved styling, the CX-5 is definitely a great choice. Like I said, personally, I prefer this. Great job, Mazda, as per usual. Anyhow, thank you so much for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you liked it. If you did, please remember to subscribe and hit the bell, because, like I said, totally free. You get every video I do every week in your inbox, and more great content. The more subscribers I have, the better the cars I can show you. Anyhow, thank you so much for watching. I hope you liked it, and I hope I'll see you in the next one. Thank you, and goodbye.